Hey guys, this is Andrew on Goblin HQ Incorporated, recording something late at night on my phone, and probably the first content I've put on here for, I don't know, at least a couple years. Um, I want to put on more content, but fortunately my camera had a little bit of a breakdown, and I've been kind of short on funds lately, and well, to be perfectly honest, I've been a little lazy. But I have ordered new parts to get my camera back up and running, and just as a kind of a preview to kind of kick things off and get things started and rolling again, I figured that I'd do a little bit of a late night unboxing with you guys. First, a couple announcements for news and stuff. I will be still doing advice videos for RPGs and things like that, but I think I'm going to shift my content more towards board gaming material and things like that. I'll be looking at some board games, and I'll be late to the party because a lot of the board games and stuff I pick up a few years later because I don't get in on the Kickstarters and things like that. So if you've already heard about the board games or played them or own them and already looked at the reviews, well, I'm sorry. I don't plan on actually doing a lot of reviews. I mean, I'm going to give my opinions on them and everything like that, but it's more of a, just kind of a look at them. You know, let's look at them and see what they do and how they play and things like that. And that's kind of where I intend to take my channel. So there will be a little bit of a different format to all my content and stuff like that that's going to be on here. As with that kind of out of the way, I still need to work out some logistics and stuff about how I'm going to do that too. But with that out of the way, let's get to tonight's unboxing. I'll flip the camera around. So, tonight's unboxing is going to be the first real expansion for Lord of the Rings, Journeys, and Middle-earth. So, Journeys and Middle-earth is a Fantasy Flight in-game, Fantasy Flight games game. Now, that's kind of a weird thing to say. That uses the same engine that runs Mansions of Madness, which uses the engine that runs Descent, which uses the game engine that ran 2004's Doom, the board game. And it's gone through several different iterations, but the significant thing is that in Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, they started using an app. And how that's significant is all the previous games in this particular engine used a kind of DM player that played all the bad guys and managed all the events, while all the other players around the table played heroes or the warriors and everything like that. So it was very much kind of a D&D-esque experience, but without all the role play elements. It was mostly just kick down the door and defeat the monsters and achieve the objective, and hooray, hooray, we go home winners, or you got your butts kicked by the monsters you were facing. But like I said, with Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, they switched over that player to an app. So that player would be managed by your phone or your iPad or your computer, which would manage all the monsters or everything like that. So it was a very kind of unique blend of kind of video games and board games and things like that. And when it was first introduced, it was a very divisive element. And when I first heard about it, I have to admit, even I was kind of like, well, that sounds interesting, I guess. But then I played Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, and I absolutely loved it because it kept a lot of the bookkeeping down, and it made the game fully cooperative, which meant all the players, all the human players around the table, they were working together. There was no competitive element to the game, except if one of the players turned out to be an insane traitor who was secretly working against the party, but that's a whole different thing. So Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, uses that same app element. So the app tells you how to set up the game. It tells you how to set up your maps, where the monsters are going to spawn on your map, how they behave, and it even tells you what events are going to happen in the different spots on the maps and things like that. So it's a very cool game. Now, when Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth first introduced, it was a very divisive game. When I read the reviews for it, there was a lot of people who didn't like it. I, for one, loved it because, well, I'm a big Lord of the Rings nerd. And so I instantly fell in love with it. The only real complaint I had against it was that it used too many named characters that, according to the continuity of when the game took place, wouldn't be adventuring together. Like, the core game has Aragorn, Bilbo, Gimli, Legolas, and then two they're new characters. They're characters that aren't named in any of Tolkien's stuff. And what I wish they would have done is they would have just made all new characters, no named characters, and you could buy like the named characters as expansions and stuff. I know, setting up the paid content DLC money engine, but I think it would have been cooler there. But anyway, on to today's thing. So this is Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, and this is the first real expansion. It's one of their big box expansions. They had a little figure pack that introduced miniatures for a couple of the big villains in the first campaign, but that was it. So let's go ahead and tear off this plastic wrap and get right into it. You'll have to excuse me, I'm holding the phone and tearing this open at the same time. If I have to set you down, I'm sorry. I think I just might have to do that. Otherwise, let's see. Yeah. And one of the things that drew me to this particular expansion is it's got my main man right there in it. The old wise wizard himself, Mr. Gandalf the Grey. Alright, I'm going to have to set you guys down for just a second. It's going to go dark. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we have a little rule book. Explains. Now this is just going to be a brief unboxing. I'm not going to like punch everything out or anything like that. So, explain some of the changes in it. Let's see what we got. We got a new corruption mechanic, difficult ground, some new terrain, branching choices. Ooh, that's interesting. I guess in the adventures now you can choose. There's like branches in the choices. Cool. Yeah, more new terrain. Cool pictures, spiders, broods of Shelob. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I guess this takes place in the forest of Mirkwood and if I remember correctly, the depths of Moria. So that's very cool. The previews said that it's going to come with a Balrog mini, so I'm very excited about that. There's all the major tokens and the tiles and stuff like that, inspiration tokens and the map tiles. This is for setting up your maps that you're going to explore and things like that. all the maps are always randomly generated. So even if you play like the same campaign, you might not get the same map. They'll be generally the same, but they won't be exactly the same. And they'll have different elements on them and stuff like that. So when you explore, they won't always have like the same NPCs, unless they're like crucial to like whatever story that you're playing. And the cool thing is that I hate shrink wrapped stuff like this. I mean, it's good, it's protective, but at the same time, it's like I just want to get to my stuff without damaging it. There we go. Get it. So what was I saying? Oh yes. So whenever you add expansions in the app, there's a little option to where you tell the app which expansions you have and which ones you don't have and things like that. It'll include all the elements for all the expansions you have, so that even old campaigns that you've played, it can include elements from the new expansions that you've added. And I'm sorry this is taking so long, guys. It's just, I'm not used to working with just one hand. Okay, there we go. And we can take a proper look at these. Alright, I got some Npc tokens. So all this stuff is double-sided too. Like typically the map tokens have like underground areas on the other side. These indicate entry points, and then there's walls and stuff like that. There's the people tokens. The inspiration tokens have explore tokens on the other side, so that's cool. I have a feeling that this is mostly that kind of stuff. Yeah, right here we got some of the new terrain tokens, trinket tokens that indicate the uses of some of the items and stuff that you'll pick up along the way. Yep, mostly the same. Nothing too exciting. Got the new corruption tiles, the difficult terrain, or whatever they called it. Alright, enough of that nonsense. Let's get to what we really wanted to see. The guys, the miniatures. Ah yes, the famous Fantasy Flight trench. Big gripe I have with Fantasy Flight is that they don't include a proper insert with their games. The only game I ever got from them that had an even passable insert was Twilight Imperium. Oh, there's the big man himself right out the gate. The Balrog. Wow, that thing is cool looking too. If I painted miniatures, that guy could look very cool. Look at the detail on that thing. Oh, that whip. It's a scourge. It's not even a whip. Flaming sword. Yeah, he's definitely cool. What do we got here? Some new trolls. Skeleton. Cool. Oh, these are our heroes. We'll look at them last, because I want to pull out their, well, I get the obvious guy. Bam. Gandalf. Glamdring right there. He's bent. Of course he is. Spider. Cool. Cool beans. Another spider. I'm gonna probably have a lot of doubles and stuff. Another troll. What the heck is this thing? Some kind of like sandworm. Like the thing out of the Hobbit movie. More undead. Ooh, we have a bigger spider. That looks mean. Might be a Shelob queen spider. I would imagine Shelob itself is bigger than that. Then again, these things aren't really scaled, so look like another type of orc. The base game had some orcs and goblins, and a troll, another sandworm, undead, goblin man, I think. Yeah, a spear thrower. I was about to use a very racially insensitive term. Please excuse me. Yeah. And those are all guys we've seen. All right. So, oops. Little spear thrower hiding in the winds. Actually reminds me of that one who wanted to eat Merry and Pippin in the Lord of the Rings movies. The one who chased him into Fanghorn. That's cool. That's who I would paint him. A whole bunch of mini cards. And okay, here are the hero cards. Sorry, I can't see them right now. I'm opening up the bag they're in. Alright, so first thing we have here, Arwen. Oh, they included Arwen in this game. Okay. Let's see, I'm guessing that's this one. Is that a girl? Nope, that's a dude. Maybe not. I'm thinking this is Arwen. That looks like an Arwen, doesn't it? Yeah. She's clutching some kind of medallion. It's probably her, that thing she gives Aragorn. Balin, that's cool. Well, there's only one choice for him. Right here. The Red Hood. He's got the raven though. Oh, but his beard doesn't. Oh, his beard does match. Okay. Because we have another one too. Dis. I don't recognize him. He must be a new one. Must be. Yep, that's this one. Oh, I think it's a. Please don't tell me that's a female with a beard. I think it is. That's actually kind of a clever detail. Of course, my main man, Gandalf. He is classified correctly, might I add, as Istari. That's a detail a lot of people miss. Try to put him as human. My man is not a human. He is actually an Istari, a lower class Maya, sent by the Valar to lead the human in the fight, to lead the humans, actually to lead all the peoples of Middle-earth in the fight against Sauron with wisdom, but not to directly interfere unless absolutely necessary. Then we have a warrior lady, Eleanor, another new character. That's cool. See? And this is Eleanor right here. Warrior female. I'm down with that. You put Eleanor and Aragorn together, you get the fighting pair. That's cool. I'm down with that. I'm not against them changing things up, adding new characters. Like I said, I would actually prefer them not to put named characters in these. They did that with Imperial Assault. Oh, that's another one that uses the same kind of engine. Imperial Assault. See, they have so many games that use the same gaming engine that I'm trying to get lost. It started with Doom, the board game. It went to Descent, First Edition. Then it went to Imperial Assault, I think, or maybe Descent 2nd Edition. Either way, those two came in, I don't know in what order, but those two came. And then it went to Mansions of Madness, then Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, and then after that, they released another version of Doom the board game, 2016. I have that too, and that's actually, it uses the same engine, sort of. It's a much more simplified version of it. I'm having trouble getting these cards out. It uses a much more simplified version of this engine, but it's you can definitely see the similarities. Yeah. So what do we got here? We got two titles, a couple titles. So this game, instead of using dice for its mechanic like all its cousins, it actually uses your action deck. And what you do whenever you have to make a test, you look at whatever ability you're making a test for. Say we're using Eleanor here. Choose one of the stats. So say we're making a mic check. You take whatever number is there and you draw that many cards. One from the top of whatever your action deck is. And you'll have to make your deck based on whatever character you have, whatever class you have, and a couple other factors. Okay, that was a bad draw because those are all inspirations. That blank one, we'll use that for the example. Let's see, what else is there? And whatever you draw determines whatever you get. So these little sun symbols, those are successes. These leaves are inspiration symbols, and if you got nothing, well, you got nothing. And those indicate however many successes you get, determine if you success. Normally you only need one, but the app, which is telling you what test you're making, might tell you to make might tell you that you need a certain number of successes or something like that. And that's how you make a check in this game. And it's really clever because at the end of each round, you're drawing some of your cards and you're determining whether or not you want to prepare them, because the cards in your deck also have special abilities. You don't get to use the special abilities if you draw them for your check. You can only use them if you prep them. So you're making a tactical decision at that point. You're deciding whether or not you want that card in your deck to help you make checks, or whether or not you want it so that you can use it for its special ability in your row of prepared cards. It's actually a really clever decision-making mechanic, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Because it also adds gravitas to when you get, because this is a campaign-based game, as you get experience points, you're also buying extra cards for this cost down here. So it also adds gravitas to what cards you're buying and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what's in this expansion. And a few little brief explanations of everything that is Journeys of Middle-earth. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I get my equipment set up and going and stuff like that, I hope we're able to get more content out. I have a whole list of videos that I'd like to get set up and stuff like that. I recently got a new board game. It's new for me anyway. Like I said, I'm behind the curve. All called Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. that I'd really like to share with you guys. I've seen plenty of reviews and plays on it, and I don't know why people don't call it for what it is, but it's basically modeled after a certain RTS that was released by a certain popular gaming company that is named after a very cold weather phenomenon. We'll just leave it at that. You should be able to figure out what I'm talking about. This RTS later turned into a very popular MMO. That's all the clues you need. So, anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Hopefully we can get some content up, like I said, once I get my equipment going. And if you'd like to see that content, please like, subscribe, hit that little bell, and I'll talk to you soon. Later.